through your work and knowing that a lot of this may be subconscious, is there a way that you could describe like the internal world of what a narcissist may be experiencing? Like if they were conscious of what was going on?
Yeah, and of course, the biggest yeah, the biggest word that you just used was if. If they were
Hmm.
conscious about it, which they're not most of the time, every now and then maybe. Um, there are a couple of things that narcissists have a great deal of difficulty accessing. One is their fear, the other is their shame. And narcissists are very fear based. I want you to think, for example, Andy, if you and I had a disagreement, and then as you're talking to me, I'm thinking, you know what? Andy's right. I blew it and I didn't manage things well, and he's calling me out on it, and we're trying to hash it out. A healthy person would say just that. Yeah, I did blow it, didn't I? I need to take a hard look. Is there anything else that you'd like for me to know? Because I value your input. That's what healthy people do. The narcissist is like, oh no, you don't have the right to tell me that. You don't have the right to call me out. Well, why? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what you just said. I'm afraid that you're going to make me try to take responsibility or be nice, and I don't do that. You're judging me, aren't you? And so they throw their defenses up, and the quickest way you'll find how fearful a person is watch how defensive they are. They're threatened or shame. The narcissist on the inside, they grew up learning this is a judgmental world. I mean, something as simple as I'm going to take a spelling test, and then I'm going to be given a grade on my spelling test, and then I'm going to be graded on the grade that I got. So, in other words, I'm excellent, I'm terrible, I'm crummy, I'm a misfit or whatever. And to say nothing about all the other things that we're judged about, how I talked to my sister, or, I did something that my mother didn't like. And so she made me think that I was the biggest fool on earth, or I expressed a fear, or I expressed an inadequacy, and I was told that I was just a troublemaker. I mean, and so many times children grow up with this shame that says, well, when I do put my humanity out there, it's not going to go well. And I'm going to be on the receiving end of lots of forceful anger or condemnation or contempt or isolation or all of that. And so there's no way. And so what they do is narcissists will decide, if this is a judgmental world, I've got it all figured out. I will now become the judge. And I will become the one who pronounces right versus wrong, and I'm going to tell everybody else what's wrong. And now they got to answer to me, and which is why they can be so obnoxious and overbearing and stubborn and give you criticism, etc. But it's all compensation. And so those would be two really large elements that are on the inside. And they're having this conversation within themselves about what to do with their fear and shame or inadequacy, etc. But they've been compensating it for so long that they're no longer even aware that it's the fear and the shame and the inadequacy, etc. That's driving them. So that's why I say it's a big if. If they can even become aware of that, then maybe that would be the first step toward growth. But narcissists, by definition, don't take responsibility. They just look for somebody else to blame, which happens to be whoever is in front of me right now, and it's their fault.
So to me, when the narcissist is shutting down all the tender emotions, their conscience, so empathy, love, they think strength is being tough, don't show any vulnerability, all of that. So they end up with this really emotional deadness inside that they're not even aware of, but it's kind of running the ship. So they're looking for something that gives them the feeling of life, that makes them feel alive. And that becomes a very conscious, almost a high that they chase. They need that feeling. What would be some examples of what they do to feel alive?
Oh, spot on. It's such an irony, isn't it? The way that I find my strength is I ruin you. And the way that I feel alive is I kill. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, where'd you come up with something like that? Because that's what was done to me. And so I guess that's how it works. And so to them, power means dominance. Power means having the final word. Power means that whatever negative you're going to do is not as bad as the negative I'm going to do to you. And I don't see it that way at all. Instead, for me, power is having my own separate distinction so that I don't get sucked in by dysfunction. And that's where I want to go with respect to that. For example, if somebody's yelling at me, the narcissist is going to think, okay, you want to argue with me? I'll make you sorry that you ever tangled with me. I'll make it miserable for you. Power. No, you're just showing that you're carrying a lot of pain, and so that's the substance that you have to draw upon. So you give pain. Whereas when you think, I've been dominated by other individuals, and I never did like it. Why in the world then would I pass that along to somebody else? So if somebody comes along and they want to overpower me, rather than trying to do the same in reverse, I might say something like, "You think differently from me, don't you?" And I can tell you're upset with me. Let's figure that out. Now, most narcissists can't go into that space with you, and so we have this thing called boundaries, where you have to learn how to pull yourself away from that, etc. So that's a whole nother concept. It's fascinating. But the narcissists, they've numbed out to their reasoning for being the way they are, and they just perpetuate the very dysfunction that they say they hate.